You in this battle, man, I'll soon be dead. I'll glue your face to my dick so I can fuck with your head. I got metaphors coming through my pores. You probably never been in a battle before, so I hope you realize your mistake. There ain't no party, got some candles, this will be a piece of cake. Plus you're fake, I can tell while I'm hotter than hell. Fuck Microsoft Word, I'm about to excel.
Welcome to the Before Hours podcast, an internet radio phenomenon hosted by an occasional morning person. I ask the most interesting people I know about their sleep, their routine, life, love, stress, setbacks, whatever else comes to mind. If you want to write to the Before Hours podcast, you may do so at the Before Hours podcast at gmail.com. You could write what your morning routine is or anything else that's on your mind, and I might read it on the air. But for now, very funny comedian, very good friend of mine. Please welcome to the show, Gabby Jordan Brown.
Thank you for having me, Bobby.
Yeah, off mic, we were talking about the story of Esther.
Yes.
I won't make you retell the story now, but if anyone's interested in the story of Esther, I guess anyone who's a Gentile that's listening, because do all Jews know about Esther?
You know, I think that some of us do and some of us don't. Jews, there's such a wide variety of what we know and what we don't.
Mm-hmm.
You meet Jews who are like, I don't even know I'm Jewish. Or, I mean, I don't know. They know they're Jewish if you're asking them if they're Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
But you meet Jews who don't know anything. And then you meet Jews who wear the curls and shit, and they know everything.
Who wear the curls.
Yeah, they wear well, I'm sure they grow them out. But
they don't.
There's no wig.
It's like a weave.
They go to a black barber shop. Can you give me those curls? What's up, homie? Can I say it?
They're like, to be fair, I am a landlord. Okay, so I own many housing projects in New York City.
In New York City, yeah, which landlords are an oppressed group.
Yeah, dude.
It's true.
Yeah, they kind of are in New York City, dude. They are not liked.
I wonder why.
By me included. I kind of don't know how to talk. It's a little too early for us to be talking anything.
Yeah.
It's 11:30.
I am actually, well, you should ask the question, but I have thoughts about sleep.
Okay. Give me your thoughts about sleep. That counts as my first question, by the way, for those keeping score.
Well, it's funny that I asked you for this podcast to be earlier just because I'm like throwing a housewarming, but I'm a super night person. Like, I think for me, I get the most creative at night. I feel the most awake at night, and mornings for me, like my ideal would be you start the day at 11.
Yeah.
But like you wake up groggy at 11 and you make your coffee.
Oh, okay, so you're not rushing at all either. You like a slow morning.
I like my ideal work day would be you wake up at 11, you chill, you do your morning routine, you read the paper. I don't know what people do. I don't read the paper.
I was just gonna ask, do you read the paper? Are you actually 65 years old?
Yes. You just you can enhance yourself like this too if you're 65. You can look like me.
Hell
but
yeah.
I mean I am gray, but
Ooh,
yeah.
Just a little bit of gray. I'm a little jealous of it, by the way. As a redhead, I'm looking forward to going gray. Maybe the Ed Sheeran jokes will stop. Probably not.
Probably not.
Probably. Who's a weird looking guy with white hair?
Do you remember Taylor Hicks from American Idol?
No.
That's a deep cut, but he was like 26 and had full gray hair.
Yeah.
And he won American Idol, and he was this just ugly little cherubic man. And he won American Idol and promptly was just never heard from again.
Oh yeah, that happens to everyone that's not Kelly Clarkson, Ruben the black guy. That's not his name.
Ruben the black guy.
Ruben the black guy.
Hyphenated, I think.
That's his whole thing. That's my shtick. Is I'm a black guy. I mean, there's open mic comedians who that's their shtick. So
if they're ever in a black room, they're like, "Fuck, I'm supposed to be the only one." No.
And Clay Aiken.
Yes.
Who wasn't gay. I mean, he was gay, but he wasn't out until after he won. And it was the early aughts, so no one knew either. I mean, gay people knew.
Gay people knew, yeah. I mean, I weirdly, this shows you where my sexuality is at. I had a big crush on Clay Aiken.
Okay.
The fucking gay-ass man.
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought he was so sexy.
Yeah. I mean, well, he has feminine features.
I've always said that I'm like not necessarily only attracted to women, but I'm attracted to femininity. And sometimes there's a very feminine man where, and not even like long hair, just like a little, just like soft and fruity where I'm like, yes, you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the worst compliment you could get as a straight man, I think. Usually I'm attracted to women, but you're so feminine that I might consider it.
You're such a fucking little fairy that I'm so into you right now.
I used to have a joke that never worked, but I'm going to retell it right now. Is that because I regularly date bisexual women, and I think it's just because I live in Brooklyn.
I think that's true.
You know what I mean? But the joke I would do is that my penis is an option as long as no penis is also an option. You know what I mean?
That is good. You should bring it back.
I'm going to try it. If the audience is made up of you, then I think we'll do well.
Also, I mean, now there's several dudes who are in your position who only date bisexual women.
It might kill in Bushwick. It might.
I think in this apartment alone, probably everyone who regularly frequents it, either as a bisexual wife or a bisexual girlfriend or ex-girlfriend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with actually the shout out to Chipper. He's a public person, so I could say it. He is a bartender at the Tiny Cupboard where you and I both perform.
Yes.
And he recently told me, what did he say? He said like, well, everybody's bisexual. And I was like, I think that's objectively not true.
I think that's not true. And I'm always honestly so relieved when someone in my life is just like, I'm straight. Because it's like, thank you for just being it.
Yeah.
You guys
Thank
are
you
an
for
oppressed
living your
group right
truth.
now. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, there's the Kinsey scale, right? And how do we explain the Kinsey scale for people that might not know?
It's like 0. It's a sliding scale. So 0 on the scale is like, I am repulsed by the idea of even being like near anything sexual or kissing someone of the same sex.
I don't even talk to my dad.
Yeah, I don't even talk to my dad. He might fuck me.
Yeah.
And then 6 is the reverse, where it's like, I don't even talk to my mom because she might fuck me. And then everywhere in between is like a gradient. So I'm like a Kinsey 4, more attracted to women, but like a little bit bi.
Ah, interesting. Okay, so 0 would be totally gay?
0 would be totally straight, and 6 is totally gay.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay. Interesting. Yeah, okay.
I will say I don't know if this applies to you, but I think that it's fine and valid to be totally straight, but I often lose respect to people who haven't even tried kissing someone of the same sex.
I've kissed a man.
Yes, there we go. I respect you.
I've kissed a man, and but it was at a comedy show for a bit. So
don't worry, guys. It was a bit. It was a bit,
fellas. It was a bit,
fellas.
Dad. It was a bit.
When we were in bed together, we were filming it for the pod.
We were doing one of our little skits.
Yeah, yeah. Grandma, you want to watch?
Oh, Grandma is dead. Thank goodness.
Yeah, the bit killed her. She saw it. She's like, can't live long.
It was during a Gas Digital show with now famous comedian Tim Dillon.
Stop.
Yeah.
No way.
Made out with Tim Dillon as a bit.
Oh my God.
You know what was funny too? And I don't know how to say this. He afterwards jolted. Like left, and maybe it's because he's like a real comedian. He's busy.
Maybe.
You know what I mean? But also, I think part of him was like, I don't know who this Bobby Sheehan guy is. I'm not about to get Me Too'd right now, because there is a version. Because I just thought it was a nice time. You know,
Yeah.
it was really special to me.
Was it a good kiss?
You know what? He was good, but I will say that I think on the Kinsey scale, I'm a 6 or 7, I guess.
A 0.
It did. Oh,
I will. It was a nice time. I will say I am so gay now. I'm
was
repulsed
gay.
by the female touch.
Because I'm usually very sensitive. Like
Yeah.
I'm 32, but if a woman like kisses me even a little bit, this might be TMI listeners, but I get like fully hard.
Wow.
Yes, fully.
That's very sensitive. That's
Very
unusual.
sensitive. But I was making out with Tim Dillon. Maybe because it was publicly. Maybe because I was performing.
Yeah.
I didn't even get like a little hard. You know what I mean?
Fascinating.
Yeah.
And he was a good kisser, so that you probably are straight. And he's a sexy guy. Sorry, I don't mean to Tim Dillon book me. I don't know on your.
I think he knows who he is.
Yeah.
I think when you're a comedian, you have a healthy conception of self.
Yeah.
Because you go, oh my God, I always think of this poor woman. She was doing stand up. That's it. That's the whole story.
Pathetic. She should be in jail.
But she's from LA and beautiful. Like I'm like, you ever see somebody and you just get angry at how attractive they are?
Yes.
So she's beautiful and she starts doing jokes about how she's fat. Yeah.
That's LA.
Yeah.
When I went to the LA open mics, it was all like that. It was these objectively gorgeous women being like, I'm in LA 6. It's like, you need to move somewhere. You need to be somewhere else. I feel that way in New York too, because like I don't feel like I'm ugly, but I go to these Brooklyn parties. I'm like, I'm hideous.
Yeah.
Like these women are so hot.
Mm-hmm.
But when I travel, like if I go down to, when I went down to New Orleans to do comedy there, I was like, I'm sexy.
Yeah.
Like, I'm the hottest. It's just like New York and LA.
Yeah.
They just, it's some kind of, what's the word? Eugenics? Probably not.
Mhm. Okay, I'm listening. We might have to put this
Eugenics
behind the
perked him up.
Patreon. To actually, can we clip that as a little bit of a teaser? Gabby's going to tell us all about eugenics and how it's not, quote, necessarily a bad thing.
You're gonna make me cry. So
Guys, write this down.
what they don't tell you, what they don't tell you about eugenics is that it just no. I'm cutting off
Abandoned
the
bit. Abandoned bit.
It's to create the hottest people. Okay, I'm done.
I
No
really,
more-
actually, I think that is what it. Well, I don't think. What's his name? Hitler. I forgot Hitler's
What's
name.
his name? Yeah.
Who's the guy with
He's
the
a
genocide?
nobody. Yeah, just, he's an open micer.
Dude, say what you will about Hitler, people remember him.
I had a coworker once, this fucking dick, and he was like, in a way, Rosa Parks and Hitler were the same because people remember them.
Yeah. Oh my God. That sounds like something someone says right before they commit a mass shooting.
Yeah, he was scary.
Yeah.
He also was obsessed with Elon Musk, and he
Okay.
was like, Elon Musk works 80 hours a week, and then he would show up to work at like 11 and leave at 3.
Yeah.
While the rest of us
That
work from like
rules.
8:30 to 6:30.
I love that. Talking about working hard and not working hard.
Oh, it was
That's
the best.
so cool.
he would like take Ubers on the company dime because he was really close with the CEO, so he could do that. But he got caught and he had to give the company back like $500.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude. Fuck, I love that guy. That's
that's
such
your
a
hero.
you see that episode of Seinfeld where like George Costanza just walks around with a clipboard and to look busy, and he gets he like climbs the corporate ladder just from looking busy. And I've worked alongside guys like that, and I've actually, like, this sounds gross to like toot your own horn, but I've always worked hard, at work. And not even necessarily because I think it'll help my career. It's just that I have that Protestant work ethic, from growing up, even though I was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
So I think that's just, the guy that the performative busyness is like so cringy, and I hate it in and of itself, but I also hate how it seems like it works.
Always.
Yeah.
It's because I think all CEOs are on cocaine at a base level. So they're making these like split second decisions. And if you just look busy, that's all they look at.
Yeah.
Like I've seen people get fired because they just don't have an expressive enough face while
Yeah.
they're at their computer. And it's like, but that girl works so hard,
Dude, I had when I worked at a sales job, it was in office, and my boss called me in one day and she was like, I just noticed, you're doing great, by the way, but I just noticed that you seem to leave like right at 6 p.m. Like right at 6 p.m. And I was like, because it's when my shift is over. And she's like, yeah, I understand. Robert, I understand.
They call you Robert at work?
They call me Rob because Robert was a salesman, but Bobby Sheehan is a comedian.
Oh, yeah.
But they do figure it out. I've had multiple bosses be like, I Googled Bobby Sheehan, and you have some interesting views about eugenics.
But they're behind a paywall, so they won't pay for it.
Yeah, she was like, you leave right at 6, and I'm like, that's true, but I'm a salesperson. I'm one of the few people out at the company as a salesperson where you could look at my performance objectively. It's just like, look at my commission. And I'm like, how is it in compared to everybody else's?
Right.
This sounds gross because I'm tooting my own horn, but she was like, yeah, it is high. And I'm like, so why does it matter that I leave at 6? And I felt like
She
answer
wanted to fuck you.
Dude, I would have been game, to be honest with you. A powerful woman.
Yeah, I love a powerful woman.
In her 50s, just bring lots of lube and you're good to go.
See, that's one of the things eugenics does. No more dry anything.
No more dry pussy. Just a guy that doesn't make women wet, and he's like, we have to figure this out.
What's his name? Ben Shapiro. He like had that whole thing
Yeah.
about it. How he was like, "WAP is a crazy song because my wife doesn't get like that." Everyone laughed.
Dude, and that's, I mean, I know it's because of his religious beliefs, but he's only fucked one woman. And that's what happens when you, allegedly, who knows? Well, actually, I believe him.
I believe he's fucked one woman and he's gotten 3 over the pants hand jobs at Hebrew school from boys.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
from boys.
Yes.
Okay. Now, 3 Hebrew school hand jobs from over the pants hand jobs from boys in Hebrew school equals full sex with one woman. I'm bad with the Jewish math.
Yeah, Jewish math. Yeah, that's
Jewish
correct.
math is 6 million, by the way.
6 million hand jobs. That's how you count it. Yeah.
Yeah.
6 million over the pants hand jobs equals 1 sex with a woman.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh my God, we got to up these numbers.
Yeah,
dude.
we do. It's happening.
Did you go to Hebrew school?
I did.
Okay, tell me what Hebrew school is like.
Hebrew school is fascinating. I just watched. Have you watched that Adam Sandler movie? You Are So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah.
No.
It's really. I recommend it.
Sounds like a hurtful thing to have told to you.
It was never told to me because my bat mitzvah was lit. Here I am tooting my own. You're like, I am the best salesman in the world. I was like, my bat mitzvah was my peak. It was the best time of my life.
Do you have a mixtape from your bar mitzvah?
I don't have a mixtape.
Okay.
I have photos and I think videos somewhere. It was an amazing time. All my friends were there. I had no theme. Like some people have themes.
Okay.
But they were like, what's your favorite candy? I was like, Almond Joys. And my parents were like, okay. And they put Almond Joys on all the tables, which like was
Sounds
great for
nuts.
me, but it sucked for everyone else. They were like, I want real candy.
Yeah. That's such an old lady candy.
I think I am 65
Yeah.
at heart. I think I am.
You're eating hard candy, reading the paper.
Yeah. Everyone else is partying around me. I'm like, you kids have fun. I did try and read papers when I was younger because my dad would read the paper. So I wanted to be like him.
Yes.
And I could not for the life of me figure out how to flip the pages.
And you're supposed to lick your finger for some reason. So you lick
Yeah.
your finger.
But my saliva is too wet. So
Yeah.
I get the whole thing drenched. It was like super soaker.
Wet ass saliva.
Wet ass paper. That's what they call it.
There's this picture of me as a baby, and the same thing. I was emulating my dad. So I would I'm like a toddler in a high chair and I'm trying to read the paper, but the paper's too big for me. And by the way, I have a big head. I have the same size head that I do now, I'm convinced, as I
No.
was when I was a toddler. So it looks like I'm literally like struggling to hold it up. So there's this picture of me, bright orange hair, same shitty hairline somehow, giant head, and I'm just like have this silly look on my face like oh, I'm being just like dad. And by the way, the description on the paper is about the first Gulf War.
Incredible.
Yeah.
How they hold your head up. You know, like that parable about the woman with the little ribbon around her neck, and if you untie the ribbon, her head falls off.
No, it sounds like it was written by ISIS.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Yes,
Well,
and
So what's the moral behind the parable?
I actually don't know.
Yeah.
I just always thought it was a great image.
That's the moral of the story is that there's a woman that needs a ribbon to keep her head up.
Yeah, don't chop off your head. That's a great. Yeah, she did it to herself. Us girls, we do.
So your bat mitzvah.
Bat mitzvah. Yeah. So Hebrew school. Going back to Hebrew school, You're So Not Invited to My Bat Mitzvah. Like, hits an interesting truth about it, which is that the social norms in Hebrew school are very different than the social norms in middle school. Because in middle school, it's like the wild, wild west. The less well behaved you are, the better.
Yeah.
The more of a rebel you are, the better. But in Hebrew school, it's kind of like some level of there's a little bit more respect for your instructor. It's kind of ingrained. So the more respectful you are, there's a little bit more currency there.
Okay.
And I don't know. It was interesting. I feel like Hebrew school wasn't as socially formative for me as Hebrew school choir. That was really formative.
Okay.
Because that was like where the theater kids went.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was where I shined. That was where I was in the Purim spiels, which is like the Book of Esther. They like act it out every year.
You're supposed to boo whenever someone says Haman.
Yeah, you are. Yeah, you're supposed to like shake the little I forget what the fuck they're called. I'm a bad Jew. But there's like almost these little maracas they give out. You like shake it every time.
When
someone
I
says
heard
it.
that part of the ritual, that when you say Haman, everybody freaks out and like yells, and it sounds like so much fun. And as someone that was raised Catholic, I'm so jealous.
Brutal.
Yeah, because we just repeat the words back to the priest and then sit and stand and kneel.
What is confession like?
Ooh, confession is kind of it is strange because typically, so confession is a sacrament. So there's a bunch of different sacraments. The first one is baptism, which you get done when you're a baby. So confession is is the second one you do. And you're typically like in first or second grade. So you're supposed to go to the priest, and the priest is like stand in for God himself. So you're confessing to God.
Okay.
Why you're not allowed to do it by yourself, I don't understand. But you tell it to a priest, and it's so funny because it's not even like, you don't even get to be like, I'm jacking off. You're too young to even jack off. You know what I mean? So you have to be like, oh, I remember struggling as a little kid. I'm like, it was a lot of I talked back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the priest is like, well, can't talk back to your mom because she loves you, and say 3 Hail Marys, and that's it. But you're so nervous.
Right.
Because you're talking to an adult that you don't know very well. And then you have to be like, here's all the bad things I've done. You know?
Oh, that's hard. Well, it's also like, I always found it weird how kind of like transactional it seems, where it's like, you could be like, I murdered someone. They're like, okay, say like 17 Hail Marys.
Yeah.
Is that the currency? Is that the math? Like,
I think you might have to do more than 17 Hail Marys, though. That is a lot of Hail Marys. But if you kill somebody, my understanding is the priest will tell you should turn yourself in.
okay.
Because you can't escape worldly responsibility and then enjoy otherworldly rewards.
But what about a lower level crime? Like, how many Hail Marys is I stole from Whole Foods? Genuinely, like, I don't. And also, are you just saying Hail Mary over and over again until you're
Well, they throw in an Our Father. An Our Father is longer. I feel like Hail Mary, I think it's what I was recommended to do as an adolescent. And I think it's because it's not as long as the Our Father, but it's not as short as the Glory Be. You know what I mean? So it's like a B tier level prayer.
Yeah.
You know?
So you were like a mid-level delinquent.
You're also kind of apologizing to mommy. I feel like when you say Hail Mary, you're like, Mom, I'm sorry.
Do you have mommy issues too?
The explanation that a CCD teacher gave me, which is like, that's CCD is like the for anybody listening, is like the Catholic version of Hebrew school, I suppose.
I guess.
And she would say saying a Hail Mary or praying to Mary is good because you want to talk to Jesus. Jesus is God. He's God the Son, and there's God the Father, and then there's God the Holy Spirit.
They gotta give him a different name.
It's definitely not an amalgamation of Jewish teachings and paganism.
Yeah,
don't think that.
Definitely not.
It's one God, but also 3 persons. One God. It's still monotheism.
So it's not. So God the Father and God the Son. It's one God, but they are 2 entities.
They're 2 entities. So
they're all God.
So you got like Star Wars: A New Hope, Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back, and Star Wars: Return of the Jedi. That's the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They're all Star Wars, but they're different parts of Star Wars.
Oh, I see. So God is a franchise.
God is a franchise. Okay. The most successful one out, honestly.
Yeah, the merch is crazy.
$1 billion
the merch
industry.
Goes crazy.
You go into any room, there's a crucifix.
Yeah, I know. How do they get it out like that?
Yeah.
I gotta get my podcast out like that.
I mean, you're gonna have to get tortured for hours.
Yeah, well, I'm into that. Yeah. We talked about the older women thing. Yeah, I'm into that. Yeah, let's get tortured.
Ooh. Getting tortured by an older woman?
Yeah, it sounds great.
Yeah, okay.
I honestly wish that, like, so this is not true, like, the lower way, but, like, the higher way, like, I wish that for lesbians, it was like in the gay male community where people could just date, like, people in their 60s and have it be fine. I would date a 60-year-old woman easy and just let her, like, whip the crap out of me every single day.
Oh, the 2 things are related, though.
Yeah.
Because she's older and she'll be dominant.
Yeah, 100%.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I like, not to be TMI, but I like to be dominated by I was sleeping with someone younger this summer, and she was very dominant, and I think in a way made the age gap less weird that she was so dominant.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just like a sub little bitch everywhere I go.
That's actually your Instagram bio.
Sub little bitch.
Comedian,
That's right.
sub little bitch.
Yeah, I should make it my Instagram bio. Right now, my Instagram bio is a account run by Meghan McCain.
Oh, that's hilarious. I love that so much.
I'm obsessed with Meghan McCain. I don't know why. She manages to be annoying in a way that's so inoffensive and like makes her so not famous, except when she comes up in the news cycle every 4 years, says something asinine, everyone clowns on her, and then she promptly leaves the news cycle again.
Yeah.
How does she do it?
Yeah. I think she has a little bit of currency inside of the mainstream media because she is one of, I believe, 4 Never Trump Republicans. I think it's her and Liz Cheney.
Okay.
Where they're like, Trump is bad. Remember when he was when Trump was running for the primary? Like, oh God, what was that? 2016?
Yeah.
There were a bunch of Never Trump Republicans, and then they all slowly. That's the thing about Republicans, dude, is they're team players.
Yeah,
like, as
they
soon
do.
as he
They
won the
come together.
nomination, they were like, actually, he's pretty cool.
I think that they all just somehow got like paid off or something. Like, I think that when money talks or they're offered a sweet deal in some other way, they're just like, okay, I'll do that. I think in a way, a lot of politicians are like that.
I will say though, my like conservative friends, like registered Republican friends, mostly folks that I know from high school, like during the primary, they're like, no way, this guy's insane. And then once he won, to me, they would be like, listen, I'm not happy about voting for him, but of course I'm going to vote for him. He is the Republican candidate. I'm like, dude, that's what the Democrats have to do. Because whenever like Biden won the primary, I have so many friends who are like, Bernie. And I'm like, no, not Bernie. The time for Bernie is done.
Yeah. We got to elect someone as crazy as Trump who is a Democrat. Like, oh gosh.
RFK Jr.
I'm trying to think of an adjacent celebrity. Like, someone like not annoying, but just as like I'm thinking of like Shailene Woodley. Do you know her?
No.
She was engaged to Aaron Rodgers very briefly.
Okay.
And
You're the one that knows more about sports of the two of us.
Wow. Let's fucking go. Win for us girls. As I explained to you, Shailene Woodley, the actress. I'm like, I'm not like other girls. So Shailene Woodley.
She's beautiful.
She's beautiful, intelligent, wise. No, I can't. I mean, she's one of these like woo-woo crystal anti-vax women. And I think
if you're listening, slide into my DMs.
Yeah, go for it.
Or Gabby's.
Yeah. We'll fight over you.
Yeah.
In the DMs. She like, I think she and Aaron Rodgers bonded over that like medical malpractice kind of like fun insanity. But she said things like, every morning I wake up and I like go out to my porch with my like just bare vagina exposed to the sun, and I do an hour of sunning to make myself feel better.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the kind of person who I think we need to elect.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah.
Just her and Trump arguing with each other.
I need that. Or like, you know, maybe like Marshawn Lynch. That'd be cool. He's a football player. He's really, I love that I have to explain football to like a cis man. So this football guy, right?
I mean, I had a riff with a friend of the show. He was talking about football, and I said 8 guys on a football field, and he was like, I think, what sport has 8 people?
What sport does
soccer? I don't know.
Maybe.
8 was in my.
I actually don't know about that.
Anyway, so you're saying this guy?
I mainly know baseball. Well, Marshawn Lynch was this guy who he played. I think he still plays football, but he would go to press conferences, and every question he'd be like, "I'm just here so I don't get fined."
Ooh.
And then recently he was in the movie Bottoms.
Okay.
And he's not an actor, but they just let him improvise all his lines. And he was funnier than like anyone in that movie.
Hell yeah, dude.
Like him versus Trump. I fuck heavy with that.
John Fetterman versus Trump?
I could fuck with that.
Yeah. I honestly think like, even though like I'm not crazy about Joe Biden, I think that, remember the first debate with Joe Biden and Trump where at one point, like they're shouting over each other. At one point, Biden goes, "Would you just shut up, man?"
Yeah.
And everyone's like, "Oh, unpresidential." I'm like, no, that is actually, if you're going, because that's why Hillary lost, because she was being like a nice lady,
Yeah.
while he was just like being a lunatic. I'm like, you kind of got to out lunatic Trump. You know
who I just thought of too? Eric Adams. Don't
Yes.
like anything about him, but everything he says is a Mad Lib.
Yeah.
It seems like random nouns and adjectives got subbed into whatever he meant to say. Him versus Trump. Amazing.
I think that would be very good. To win the Democratic nomination, I think would be easy for him because, well, I said this about when he won. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York, by the way. I knew he was going to win New York mayor because he's black.
Yeah.
And because he's a cop.
Yes.
So that's like that. To be a black cop right now, it's like the best of both worlds, I think.
I agree. Yeah.
And I think that could be applied to New York City, but I think it could be applied nationally as well.
I also think just the cop support in we live in a bubble where that's not the case, but being from New York, I like often find myself having to explain to people who just moved to Bushwick and never went anywhere else. I'm like, no, this is a conservative town.
Yeah.
You go to Sheepshead Bay, it's not like this.
Yep.
Yeah. And even like in pockets of like, Upper Manhattan or Deep Queens, there's just a lot of like, both sidesism, like, hey, my friend's a cop or my cousin's a cop. Like, you're not going to hear a lot of fuck cops in New York specifically.
Yeah, in this specific neighborhood, you will see that type of graffiti everywhere.
Yes.
And then, so if you just moved here, you're like, I'm in Anarchy City, baby.
Yeah. You're like spitting in the face of cops.
Yeah.
And then they're like, so what happened was you fucked up. I mean, I think that's cool as fuck, but it's just not the case everywhere.
Yeah. So you're from New York.
Yes.
Where in New York are you from?
I'm from around the East Village area.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude.
I'm a city gal.
Nice. What was it like growing up in New York? We're like the same age. So like in the 90s, what was New York like?
I mean, really safe and fun. I mean, for me, where I was, I do think that I would not raise my kids in New York just because I was very like ADHD kid, always running around, and I kind of wish I'd had more space to do so. But that said, it was incredible. Like, I got exposed to so many different viewpoints, so many different kinds of people. I got a good like creative education. My parents encouraged me to be creative because that was the city we were in. I went to theater. I saw a bunch of movies, dance performances. Like right now, like my sister is a dancer working in Philadelphia professionally as a dancer. So it's like we both went into the creative professions, and I think New York really influences that. And also I think the other thing about growing up in New York is you do get a bit of a leg up because you meet people in the industry and they're like, here's the secret, the industry's fucked.
That's the secret.
Yes, that is, once you know the secret sauce, that it's like everyone either knows someone or like has friends who are like making things happen for them, or they got a trust fund to rely on. It's like once you know that life isn't fair, you just you're like, that's out of my control.
Yeah.
That this person got something that maybe someone else deserved. But I was talking about this with, do you know Ryan Thomas?
Yes.
Yeah, I was talking about this with him last night. Like, once you know something's out of your control, you can effectively be like, okay, I do what I do, and that's it. And that's how you like survive in the creative industry, because you have to have a really thick skin.
Yeah.
And just be like, fuck, this is what it is, and I'm not going to take every little slight personally.
Yeah.
I'm just going to do what I can do.
And you got to love what you're doing so much that you put up with all the other bullshit. Like, I do feel bad for, I could see in a comedian's face when they're on stage and they're doing a show for 4 tourists that don't speak English and are also mad at them, and they're having a bad time, and I'm like, this might not this might not be for you if you can't, you know what I mean? I know.
Because it's like, even when I go into just the worst open mic on the planet and I bomb, I'm still like, I would rather be doing this than anything else.
Yeah.
Like,
the first open mic that I did, by the way, I was appropriately ready for how bad it was going to be. And I was pleasantly surprised that it wasn't as bad as I was anticipating it being, you know? I feel so bad for like, especially like hot people. And they're like, I'm very, this is going to sound sour grapes. I'm so glad I'm not hot, dude. But like, the type of person that's like funny with their friends, and then they go up there and they're like, oh no. You know what I mean?
I've seen it live.
Yeah.
I've seen people be like, should I try stand up? I'm good at improv. And then they go up and they're like, oh, this is hard. Because it's also like, it's very tempting when you're not in comedy to see a show full of people who are bombing, who like can't catch the crowd and be like, I could do that. And then you go up, you're like, I see why you're all bombing.
Yeah.
I even fall prey to that now. If I'm in a mic or a show where everyone's bombing, I'm like, no, I'm going to be the one who gets them.
You always think you're the one that's going to say
And then my first joke tanks, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah. Yeah. In that situation, I could just go in the middle of it. I thought I was going to be the one to turn it around. And people laugh at the narcissism of that.
Yes, they do. Yeah, they're like, oh, of course you thought that. Yeah.
First time I was on stage though, first open mic I ever did, even though it was like going so, I feel very privileged that in that moment I was like, oh, this is what I got to do for the rest of my life no matter what.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because some people never have that. They never figure out what they want to do. And the harder it seems to make it doing comedy, that's hard, but at least I have that baseline of like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah.
You know
When do you feel like you found that?
The first time I was on stage.
Oh, yeah.
First time on stage, like unequivocally, I knew. And so even though I had like a so-so set, A, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. And B, I knew that feeling that I had, I wanted to have for the rest of my life.
Right.
I got, it's kind of wild. I got sober. And then 6 weeks later, literally everything like fell into place. I found a job that could support me moving out of my parents' house. And then I did my first open mic, had that experience, and I was like, wow, all the pieces are coming together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because I realized it like, I wasn't on stage yet, but I watched Michelle Wolf do stand up at the Cellar, and I left that show and I cried after, and I was like, but it wasn't a sad cry, it was like a happy cry where I was like, she was so amazing and she was so inspiring. I have to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so you knew before you had even tried it.
I had tried it in college. Because I went to college in the city, I basically never left New York City for more than like 6 weeks at a time. I did like a stand-up class at Caroline's, so I'd like been on stages, I'd been at clubs, but for some reason I just like, when I started like working a really intense job, I just dropped off of it, and I was like, well, you know, stand-up's not a career, yada yada. Yeah. And then when I saw the show, I was like, no, fuck my career.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
Hell yeah, dude.
And stand-up's really the first thing where even when I tried it in college, I was like, this clicks into place for me in a way no other creative pursuit has. Like I went to acting school. I used to be an actor, and then I did improv and all that shit. But I was just kind of like, nothing is my ability in this field doesn't match up to the people who actually make it. And in comedy, I feel like no one is, I don't know. In comedy, you have to have a certain amount of like mental fortitude, I think, where it's like you just take a million knocks until you get to the top, or until you get to the middle. Getting to the middle is also fine in comedy, which is my favorite thing about it, because I love staying in the middle. But it's also like, it's just, I was like, I can control a crowd on a base level. Like if I go up, even if my shit's bombing, I can. It's rare that I will absolutely lose them, and if I do, I'll just get off early. Like I felt like my instincts clicked into what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had never had that with anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So once you find it, hell yeah. And then Nietzsche said, oh my God, how pretentious. He who has Nietzsche, Friedrich Nietzsche?
I know.
Okay.
I was doing like
clip Maxim. Do not clip that.
Maxim, clip it.
Don't clip
it.
me mansplaining who one of the most famous philosophers is. Please.
I was Barbie movieing you so hard.
You should have been twirling your hair while you asked.
Oh my God, what? Nietzsche? Is that like French?
Yeah. But he said, he who has any why can endure anyhow. Guys, the podcast is over.
Sorry, go on. He who has any what?
Why can endure anyhow? Yeah, it's a great quote.
Fascinating. Okay,
Dude,
yeah,
I
was
think
worth
that
it.
when I'm in the fucking trenches.
Yes.
Which, what a fucking offensive thing to say while I'm in the you're doing a bad stand-up show and you're like, this is just like World War I.
You say that? Well, it's just as gay. You say that? But so many
Dude,
people.
World War I is so gay.
World War I, they're in trenches together and they're boys. What else could it be?
Oh, there was definitely a few gay awakenings in the trenches.
Kinsey Eights.
Yeah.
But like, have you ever had someone come up to you and they're like genuinely like, you're so brave for doing this? I know we always think it's dumb, but public speaking is like legitimately so many people's worst fears.
It was like the Seinfeld joke where he says they pooled a bunch of people and said, what's your greatest fear? And the number one was public speaking, and the number 2 one was death. Wow. Yeah, so I think the joke goes, if you're at a funeral, more people would rather be in the casket than being the one giving the eulogy. Yeah.
I've always like, I was shy for a bit as a child, but then I just grew out of it really fast.
Yeah.
And maybe it's a narcissism, but I've never understood why people wouldn't want to just entertain everyone around them. Like, I think it's fun. But I think there's a certain like, I don't know what it is. I've been trying to think about like what makes people so afraid of that.
I think being judged.
Yeah.
I think people hate being judged, and when you are speaking in public for any reason, you can't go back into the background. Like if you're at a dinner with maybe mixed company, some people you don't know, and you say something, it may or may not be interesting or may not be funny, but you could at least like sink back in. You know what I mean? Whereas like if you're up there giving a presentation, you're there like the whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's in front of a bunch of people too.
That's true.
Like I know people are like the first time you're sleeping with someone, you're like, I'm at my most vulnerable, but it's only one person there. You know, if it was a room full of people and one of them was your boss, it might be a little more nerve-wracking.
Thank God when you're sleeping with someone, you don't have to talk to her.
Yeah, exactly, dude.
Terrible. Terrible. Not true.
Yeah.
I speak to women and I listen.
That's why I had you on the podcast, because I heard that you listen to women.
You're going to transition, so I'll listen harder.
What's that?
That was a dumb joke. Sorry. That was a stupid riff.
Hey, I love stupid riffs, dude. We've had a lot of stupid riffs.
We've had a lot of stupid riffs today.
So you talked about your morning or not being a morning person. Do you have a nighttime routine? Like, do you wind down before you go to sleep?
I should. I've been doing a joke about this actually, that like when I went on a girls' trip with some friends, they all had sleep routines. Like they would put in like sleep podcasts or put on an eye mask. And every night before bed, I just Google something like, where's Amanda Bynes?
Well, that's productive too, I guess.
I just do it for like an hour. I'm just like, I think it's because nighttime is the time I'm most awake. So it's the time I have the most questions about the world around me.
Yeah.
So I just want to Google everything. My best friend, who's not a comic, who I've known for like 10 years, she and I bond over that, where she will Google everything anyone says. Like if she were right here in this conversation, she would have Googled like 10 things we said already.
Yeah.
She just has to know. And I'm like that to like a tiny degree. Like I like to just whatever I'm thinking, I'm like, whatever happened with that?
Yeah.
I think that this is embarrassing, but when I finish that at night and I actually want to go to sleep, I'll hug my comforter like it's a person.
Yeah.
and then fall asleep.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, it's just because I was in a long relationship, so it was like, you know, I would like be able to snuggle someone every night. And then when we broke it off, we're still very good friends, but when we ended things, it's just like the nights are the hardest part about falling asleep.
Yeah, that's when you're like, okay, I'm at this moment, I am single.
Oh, deeply. Well, I've been thinking about like what it means to be single, because do you ever have those friends who they are saying they're single, but they're fully in an emotional relationship with someone.
Yes.
Yeah. So those people are effectively not single because they are tethered to someone else.
Yeah.
Or thinking about someone else every night before bed. But right now, for the first time in like years and years, because I was in a long relationship before my 4-year one as well. For like the first time in 7 years, I am thinking about nobody or like with nobody before I go to bed. So I am just like, I am here. And what the fuck do I do?
Yeah.
Like that's what being single is, I think.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. Cause like, the give and take of being single is like, you have the freedom and you're like, I could do whatever the hell I want. And sometimes that lasts the entire day. And even if I'm generally, happy being alone, at night, you're like, oh yeah, this is. I do think it's why I have to have the TV on in the background. I'm like, those are other people.
Hey, they're talking. What are they saying over there?
Yeah. I'm like, Tina Fey, she's a woman. Tina Fey, if you're listening, please slide in my DMs.
Please slide into his DMs, especially. I don't know, the voice of a woman who sounds like they might cuddle you.
Yes.
Something else. I don't know that Tina Fey sounds like that. She sounds like maybe she would like coldly be like, I'm going to bed, but like kind of secretly want you to cuddle her.
Yeah. Well, you know what's nice about her is she's like tough, but she's also like pretty feminine.
Yes.
That's my thing.
Is that your type?
Yeah, I like someone that's a little bit tough. You know what I mean?
Fascinating.
Someone to tell the waiter that they gave me the wrong food because I'm not going to.
You're not going to do it. Yeah, you're going to sit there and become a puddle.
Yeah.
I realized I like dorks. My ex-girlfriend, she was very femme, but also like very nerdy and very smart and like very kind of like quiet, but would come in with the one-liners. And I tend to like these like really kind of like almost autistically smart people where it happened I was at this gay bar recently and I was kind of like dancing and then there was this gay guy and he just like pulled my hand over to this hot girl, this like smoking hot, like 10 out of 10 and was like, what are you both doing right now? You guys have to kiss. And that was, I was like, oh my God, dream come true. But then we're making out and there's actually no chemistry. I was shocked. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
And I realized it was because I had had a conversation with a different girl at the bar who was talking to me about some shit she was interested in, some weird numbers thing that was happening at her job. And I was like, I like her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And she was just like a normal kind of like girl. She was like wearing a flannel, just kind of like bopping around, awkwardly looking around, observing everything.
Yeah.
I'm very into that. I'm very into women who are overly observant because I'm probably observant of people, but not observant of my surroundings at all. So I almost need like a seeing eye dog because I don't see anything
Put a
around
vest
me.
on her.
Yeah.
Please don't pet. She's working.
Don't pet my girlfriend.
But only because she's working.
Only because she's right. Yeah, when she's off work, give her as many pets as you want. It's like being cucked, but for petting.
Yeah.
But I like people I like people who are a little bit on the awkward end of the spectrum, like whether they show it or not. I think, not that this happens to me often, like that thing that happened to me at the bar was like, that has never happened to me in my entire life.
Yeah.
But when someone is so hot and so well put together, it's almost like, what are you doing here? Just go be married.
Yeah.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
Yeah.
You must have brain damage.
Yeah. I mean, I felt that. I had to get over that where I'm like, this woman is too attractive for me. I'm like, because that's negative self-talk.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I do think we're very talking about like LA and New York, how we're like very like I've stopped thinking about leagues because I'm like, that's just not a healthy way to be.
Right.
Like if a woman says she likes me or acts like she likes me, I should just believe her.
Yeah,
You know?
you're also not a bad, like, you're a decent looking guy.
Thank you. We're gonna have you back on.
How would you like to be on every episode of this podcast forever? But it's also like, I think women like men who are active listeners. I feel like
What's that?
like active listeners. I feel like on a date, you'll listen. You'll sit. You've been listening to me. You'll sit there and
Oh my God, is she saying I'm a good listener?
Yeah.
That's right below you have a great personality. No, I'm just kidding. I know what you mean.
I think it's how Pete Davidson gets all his women. I think he's just a listener.
And maybe the rumors about his giant penis.
I have heard that.
Yeah. It could be both. It could be both or some.
I mean, I haven't slept with that
both.
many men, and I honestly don't know how giant penises don't break women.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm anti giant penis. I think all
Well,
penis
so am I, but for a different reason. This is an anti-giant penis podcast.
This podcast is sponsored by the Small Penis Union.
Yeah, hell yeah, the SPU. We shall overcome. Oh my God, how offensive! Because that was coined by a group of people who historically do not have small penises.
We'll walk hand in hand job. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, don't insult the penises of that group. That would be the worst thing you could do. It'd be the worst thing you could say to black people.
Yeah.
Silly little riffs. So many silly riffs.
Being a good listener is good. I've been an observer of a man and a woman on a date where the guy is like, I'm like, dude, just shut the fuck up for like a second.
I have observed the same thing.
Yeah. Because I get it too. I don't think it's necessarily someone's like narcissistic or that they like to hear themselves talk, but they want to be interesting because that you want to be interesting on a first date. But I think not listening being a good listener is a skill that people don't have. So if you could demonstrate both at the same time, then you're golden.
I think nothing will ever be more interesting to someone than what they are interested in.
Yeah.
So if you can just ask someone like, what do you love to do? And kind of actually get them to open up about it, you just like unlock them.
Yeah. And I think on a first date, I wait for the silence to have like a question.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because because then you could let someone go for as long as they want. And if you get someone talking about what they're passionate about, they will talk for like a long time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then to have something like ready when the silence gap comes, then that's a good conversation. Because I've had that when I was younger. I'm like, just listen. And then like they're done talking, you're like, then that's weird. Then it's like, all right, are you a guy? Is there anything behind the eyes, sir?
My mom always told me growing up, she was like, I think she assumed at this point that I was going to date men. She was like, if you ever meet a guy who looks like he's looking off in a far off direction and it seems like he's thinking about something, he's never thinking about anything.
Yeah.
Which feels like a personal experience thing. Like, I don't know that that's true, but it was good advice.
It is great advice. What I've experienced a couple times is when I feel like I'm doing a good job of like not talking too much, is that sometimes the woman will be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm rattling on and on. I must be boring you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fuck. I think that for a long time, no one has really listened to you.
Yeah. Yeah. That's always super interesting to me because I've never had that. I've always been fine being a chatty broad. And if someone's like, Gabby never shuts the fuck up, I'm like, yeah, I'm interesting.
Yeah. There is a difference. I think that's a good, to have the thought of I'm interesting communicates good confidence, I think, because there are some people that I think they talk a lot and it's because it's like, it's a product of anxiety, I suppose. You know what I mean? But if it's not that, if it's just that you know a lot about the Battle of Bull Run,
yeah,
and they're like, oh wow, this guy has a lot of thoughts, a lot of opinions.
I have seen you do stand up about how much you know about the Civil War and how you can't bring it up on a date, and it's so funny.
Yeah. It's but even that, dude, I think anything that's not porn or video games, women are excited to hear you talk about it.
That's true.
Or crypto, I guess.
Yeah.
Even crypto, if you just bring it up the right way, I think you'll be fine.
Well, I think crypto's dead now, isn't it?
I have no idea how crypto works.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I'm a Renaissance man over here.
Yeah.
It would be funny if some man was really able to like elegantly talk about porn and video games on a date.
Yeah. That is I had a woman one time, we met on a dating app, and she was like, I remember her being a little older than me. I'm 33, so maybe like 34 or 35. And
Old maid.
Yeah, that's what I told her. I was like, geez. But she was she was like, I could tell she's been through the ringer in terms of like relationship stuff. And I think actually, you know, in your 30s, you're bound to have some, you have some good ones, but you've also had some bad ones. You know what I mean? So she, one of the first messages, she goes, can you tell me what your relationship is like with the following things? And then she has bullet points. And they are porn, video games, Reddit. And in that moment, well, it made me laugh, but I was like, I think she's had some bad experiences. She's like, before we go any further, are you addicted to one of these three things?
Well, they all happen on the computer. So I'm just imagining that her last relationship was just like with a robot man.
Yeah.
Unclear. Like an AI person.
I think those are like for a millennial man. There's a high likelihood that a millennial man is addicted to one of those three things.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And my honest answer was, I'm on a porn sabbatical. I've talked about that on the podcast before. I don't play video games just because I'm not good at them. And I scroll Reddit while I'm pooping. And that is what I told her. And it's weird to talk about poop that early in a text exchange.
No, but that makes sense to do it. Yeah.
And she seemed to be happy with that answer.
That is a good answer. A porn sabbatical is, I hear a lot of people talk about how like they're not excited by porn anymore. I honestly was never into porn.
Yeah.
Just because I like realism. You know?
So you see a woman orgasming and you're
and
like,
I'm
come
like,
on.
that never happens.
Yeah.
What is she doing? Yelling and screaming like that. That's bullshit. But I think if I watched gay porn, like if two women are fucking and their nails are out to here, I'm like, well, the illusion is broken. You guys might as well break the fourth wall and be like, I'm gonna trim them later. You know.
And are you throwing that both of the women seem straight?
No,
does that
never
not
throws
matter?
me. That always, I'm fine. That's I've fallen into that trap before, so it doesn't bother me.
You know, I felt so silly when I found out about this, but I learned that gay porn between two men, like two men fucking on camera, sometimes they're straight.
Yeah,
and I don't know why that didn't occur to me. Like, that's so dumb. I was like, yeah, well, straight women fuck for our entertainment, but a guy would never do that for money.
It's probably like you would never do that for money.
Yeah, I would make out with Tim Dillon for attention, but that's it.
Especially because he was such a good kisser.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing on because I guess don't we have to? I'm actually weirdly looking at the clock, but I guess it's been an hour.
Got it under control.
Wow. Oh, thank you. You're crushing it.
I'm good at keeping time and explaining who Friedrich Nietzsche is.
That was incredible. You were very good at that. On my podcast, sometimes we play a game called Text or Drink, where we like go into people's phones and scroll for random contact, draft a text to that contact, and then you either give the person permission to send it or you have to drink. And someone on my phone found the contact Tim Dillon, thinking it was the comedian Tim Dillon. And I had to explain that it was actually a fully different Tim Dillon who used to be my boss.
Ooh.
But the text was something like obviously so insane. I can't remember what it was, but having it sent to a non-comedian would have been so bad, especially to my old boss. So I had to, but it was interesting because for a second I looked like I just had Tim Dillon's number in my phone.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, it seemed cool.
Yeah, the idea that a podcast level message is sent to a guy that you might need to have as a reference.
Yeah, there's been Text or Drink is really, it gets pretty thorny.
And I would not want to play that game, dude. I'm sober, so I don't even have the drink option.
That's true.
Oh, can you imagine a text is to somebody is so bad that I'm like, I'm actually going to break sobriety rather than have that text sent.
We've done it with like coffee before.
Oh, okay. Oh, I would do it with coffee.
Yeah.
But I would take the coffee regardless because I'm addicted to caffeine.
Well, that's true. How much caffeine do you drink?
Oh, dude, we're going to have to leave that as a cliffhanger because we are out of time, Gabby. But can you tell the people where they can find you?
Yes, you can follow me at Hip Soccer Mom.
Hell yeah.
Don't like soccer, not a mom, but catchy handle.
Mm-hmm.
You can follow my podcast, Two Nosy Meerkats, and also my co-host Claire C. Mitkowski and I have a really fun show called Wait But Are You Sure? It's a courtroom show where we judge people's sexual orientations. Judge is a stretch because you can never really know, so it's just a fucking gimmick. But our next show is October 26th, so follow us there.
Hell yeah. Go to the show on October 26th. Follow Gabby Jordan Brown. She's very funny, as you've heard on the podcast. And remember, folks, early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. I'm just playing Night Owls. You know I love you.
Thank you.